You clicked on this video, you understand the risk of clicking on an unknown content creator. And I thank you. But also I want to look at what happens when that risk goes the other way. When you click on something and you greatly regret it. You know, iPad kids? The kids that contort themselves in strange ways in public settings over like a footstool, kind of lay down across it and up and over it, and then crawl around and be below it all the time. An iPad stuck to their hands, covered in taki dust. You know, iPad kids? Well, I found a little bit of what they probably watch, and it's frightening, to be honest, to think that children are consuming this content, but that's what it is. It's children's content. Of course, what we're looking at today is horror content. Kids Horror, an animated channel called Horror Shorts Party, which is structured to have a very unique concept, broken down into 3 horror stories which are animated by separate animators. Now, it seems to be a group effort, and there are recurring themes throughout that I have found to be pretty entertaining, is one word. Mostly just concerning for the children that are watching this. I'm gonna be honest. I would very much talk to a parent if I saw their child watching Horror Shorts Party in public. I would say, "Excuse me, I am a purveyor of the YouTube bullshit. Your child here is consuming too much bullshit. They are being damaged in the neurological sense." The first video that we're going to be watching is called 3 True Water Park Horror Stories Animated, and it's going to deal with fat people at a water park. Now, this is supposed to be a real story from the creator of Horror Shorts Party, something that affected him pretty significantly in life, a bad run-in with fat people at the pool. Clearly left a mark on him because he has fat people in very nearly every video he makes, and they're always the villains.
I was excited to celebrate my adulthood by reclaiming one of my all-time favorite pastimes.
Starts with him expositing a little bit on his body image issues in the past and how, since he's an adult now, he's feeling a little bit better about himself, and so he's going to a water park in order to enjoy that.
Unfortunately, there was something really strange about the water park that I didn't remember from before. Something that, on the one hand, made me feel a little better about myself, but also just weirded me out. There were so many fat people.
Obviously something that would ruin anybody's vacation, I guess. There's just fat people here, and that's causing me an issue. I should say now that if this kind of talk bothers you at all, you should probably click off the video now. It only gets worse.
As soon as I got in line for the security check, it was the first and only thing I could notice. There didn't seem to be a single normal-sized person except myself and maybe 1 or 2 of the employees. But even they were up there too.
This is where it starts getting comically mean, like rude to the point where I stop being mad at it just being mean for no reason, but start laughing at how absurdly mean it is. The way he talks about not being able to see a single normal-sized person besides himself, and he just overall talks like a small kid, like an 11-year-old boy just being mean on the internet. Bizarrely childish.
I felt like I had to pinch my nose and hold my breath while waiting in line, or else I'd be crushed by the sweaty, smelly obesity packing into the confined space around me. For whatever reason, a lot of the animation style is plucked directly from some other source. So you'll see a lot of Simpsons style animation and Family Guy / American Dad style animation in this video. I don't have an explanation for that, but what I do have is a bit of a pattern. Every time it's the Family Guy / American Dad episodes, there's a good chance that there will be horribly obese people in the video. I don't know why the American Dad animator has a thing for fat people, but man, he can draw them really well. He must spend a lot of time drawing fat people whenever he has the chance. He really knows where those folds lie. Now, this is supposed to be a bit more of a comedic story from the author here. So the fat people are supposed to be these horribly egregious oafs, just taking the piss on fat people for no reason. A very common trope, so it's not like this stands out as a depiction of fat people. It was so unreal to see the way that all these fat people interacted with each other physically.
This next part made me laugh really hard the first time I saw it live on my Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/Lazarchoff, in case you're wondering. It made me laugh really, really fucking hard because it's the cherry on top of the icing thus far. It's beautiful, honestly.
Instead of watching where they were going and making sure they didn't run into things or other people, it was like they were playing bumper cars with their own waistlines. They would just blunder around, bumping into everything and everyone, only barely noticing that there was something in their way when it came into contact with their bloated bellies.
You get gems every once in a while. There's clearly some animation that's being based off of, but I don't know what the original source of it is. If anyone could tell me where these frames come from originally, I would love to know. I will commission somebody to draw me in this style because it's fucking hilarious.
With their bloated bellies. It looked like some dystopian commentary film on our consumer culture, but I had to pinch myself to believe that this was, in fact, reality.
It's lines like those that make me realize the guy really writes this behind the scenes. He watched some horrible dystopian don't look at your phone type video on Instagram and was immediately like, oh, the problem, of course, fat people.
Fact, reality. Everything aside, I bared it and got through the security check. I was thankful to not be trapped in the aisles anymore and to have the whole water park to roam. But my problems didn't end there. Every single patron I saw inside the park was also grotesquely overweight.
I want to highlight the incredible detail on the stomach, thighs, and, let's admit it, nipples on these people.
It was almost impossible to navigate the place. They took up the entire path and waddled by inches, always walking in a horizontal line with all their equally puffy companions, and never actually looking where they're going. I did what I could to squeeze by them, but they always took that as an insult and yelled stuff at me as I passed. Of course, they were never going to catch up with me.
For some reason, not only are all of these people horribly obese and fat, which is sinful in the writer's eyes, but they're just all mean and rude. And so in return, he is allowed to be rude back. It's bizarre. Straw manning.
The first place I went was my old favorite water slide. It had been many years since I rode it, but it still looked just as fun as it used to be. And no less, because the splashes that all the fat people made when they reached the bottom were ginormous.
I just want to highlight, this is what iPad kids are watching. This is what children are watching. To claim that this is anything besides children's content, I think is delusional. Who else is this made for besides very young and impressionable children who will click on anything that's put in front of them, especially if it has a grotesquely, hilariously fat, obese person in the thumbnail?
I made my way to the lounging pool, the one with the partially submerged bar in the middle of it. My mood was already spoiled. And of course, every stool at the bar was occupied by a person whose hind end was spilling over the side and floating on the water.
Hind end spilling over the side. There's a lot of description like that in this video, and there's other videos in which feature fat people, and there's similar commentary.
Nonetheless, I squeezed my way in between two of them in desperate need of hydration. Hey, bartender, can I get some water, please?
Forget about him. I was here first. Serve me first. He doesn't need much water anyway. I mean, just look at him.
I was too shocked to say anything.
Again, fat people for some reason taking on the villainous or like egocentric role here. Just being a bastard for no good reason. Also, I want to prepare you for what you're about to hear. He's about to talk about a 2-year-old shitting himself. He's about to say that this fat man is making the face of a 2-year-old after shitting himself. So, I mean, I just wanted to prepare you for that. I spoil it, but I want to prepare you for that because I wasn't ready when I heard it first time. I was not ready, and I regretted it.
Before I could pick the cup off the bar, the fat ogre next to me snatched it with his sausage fingers and guzzled the entire thing. Then he looked at me with the same kind of grin that a 2-year-old looks at you with right after they drop a hot, steamy turd in their pants.
My Chad and I sort of decided about halfway through this particular video that there's definitely some sort of fetishist content. Like, a lot of it is supposed to be, oh, look at how disgusting these fat people are, these horribly obese, morbidly obese fat people. But then there's also just a lot of conjecture on how their behinds spill over seats, on how their fat, sausagey fingers grab greedily for whatever is in front of the person. It's very decadent writing. It's not what you would typically expect of somebody that has a disdain for fat people. It's very, very concerned on their anatomy and what the various parts of them are doing. Something just strangely sexual about it. It's hard to put my finger on exactly, but I don't think I want to. The whole story here, if you're wondering, is that he goes to swim, has a bit of a mistake where he gets pushed under the water, and then can't quite make it back up to the water because there's too many fat people at the surface, and he literally cannot break through. So, I mean, what would be a pretty typical drowning story for any water park. This could happen anywhere. Doesn't matter the size of the population. He is revived by a obese nurse who is on site, thankfully on site to revive him, but because she is obese, she is not only sexualized, but made the victim of his indignant commentary about how gross and repugnant these people are. It's very strange combination. It's both a repulsion, apparently, but a fascination.
When I woke up, a fat, sweaty, greasy nurse lady was giving me the breath of life. I pushed her face away in disgust and turned over to expel the water from my lungs. One of the most painful things I've ever done.
Now, little boy. That's no way to treat the lady that's saving you.
Leave me alone, I'm calling the cops!
Show some respect. I should call the police on you, you disgusting peeping Tom.
I was in utter disbelief of the entire situation, incapable of thinking of a single thing to say.
Maybe the guy himself, HSP, is horribly, horribly obese and just spends all day writing these stories. And he's kind of using it as like a therapy. Now I'm looking way too far into it. This one I actually haven't seen before. This is going to be the Among Us story, and it's going to be followed up by the Drake horror story. Finally finish it off with something that I have seen on stream and enjoyed quite a bit, the Bob Ross horror story. This one's interesting. It seems to have some sort of advertisement for a Cashman casino before it starts. Very interesting considering the audience. I think it's pretty irresponsible to advertise what looks to just be gambling to children, but who am I? Just a concerned citizen.
Hey, horror shorties. Let's give a big thank you to Cashman Casino for sponsoring this video. Try out the game by clicking our link in the description below. In need of a new mobile game? Cashman Casino by Aristocrat has been my go-to game for weeks now.
About the first quarter of the video is taken up by an advertisement for a free gambling app directed towards children. Nothing but classiness from the people over at HSP. But anyway, on to the Among Us horror story.
I love my life. I love it because I have no responsibilities anymore. I used to work at my local bakery, but I got fired for eating too much of the cake.
Okay, so, like I said, I hadn't seen this one before. I didn't know this. I just didn't know.
I'm just stuck in my room 24 hours a day, playing Among Us with random strangers online. I personally enjoy it more when I'm the imposter, just because I find it more fun when I'm the killer.
Hey, Mom! Mom! Could you fix me a plate of some leftover meatloaf?
I think these videos are probably funny on accident, and I don't think that the guy is really in control of when it isn't funny. He writes jokes in there every once in a while. Apparently there's this running joke of him saying, "I'm gonna call the cops." That suffices as a running joke, but then actual moments like that, I think, usually just get buried. So, like I said, there are gems here and there, but for the most part, it's very dry. I don't think he realizes how hilariously mean he's being with this imagery.
Mom! I want some leftover meatloaf! Louis, shut up and get it yourself, you lazy lard. Michael, you shut up! Mom! Meatloaf! Get your own freaking meatloaf, sus boy. Or tell one of your stupid Among Us crewmates to make it a task since you're so damn lazy, triple chin. Only thing sus in this house are the sounds I hear coming from your bedroom at 3 a.m. in the morning, loser.
The way he comes through that fucking door frame absolutely killed me. I don't know why he is so tall. I don't know why every character in this universe has to be so horribly deformed. But this motherfucker towers over Louis. I don't know what Louis was thinking, throwing insults back at this guy. He will rip you apart and you'll look like the door frame.
I dare you to say that to my face! Get the hell out of my room, Michael! Say it to my face, Louie. Yeah, that's what I thought, sus boy.
What even did he come into the room for? Louis said, you make sus sounds at 3 a.m. when you masturbate." That was the implication. And then Michael comes in and he's like, "Say it again." What? You want me to say it again?
Next time, tuck your chin underneath your shirt. It'll make it easier to see the screen.
Hey guys, it's Slaz again. Just gonna explain what the hell you just saw. In a fit of rage, he picked out some pills from his belly button, smashed them up on the table, and is now drinking down the dust with a glass of water. Now he's gonna hallucinate among us.
No, no, no! Please don't kill me! Ah! Help! Somebody call for immediate. Well, looks like my work here is done.
Hey, Louie.
What? Who's there?
It's me, Louie. There can only be one of us, Louie. Just like how every story has to have one protagonist and one antagonist.
There's nothing I love better than in the climax of my story suddenly being reminded of the rules of narrative and storytelling. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there can be only one antagonist and protagonist, not necessarily, not really, not in most cases, in fact. What are you talking about?
Are you saying we have to kill each other? Hurting me, dude! Please stop it!
Don't worry, little bro. It'll be over soon. Just relax, you little wimp! Stop it! Stop it, Louie! What the hell are you doing? Have you lost your damn mind?
Okay, so that was the first time viewing. That didn't really have anything to do with Among Us thematically. That could have been anything. Interesting. Fat guy cut his wrist because his brother was mean to him. All right, got it. Figured we'd work up some Drake nightmare fuel. Why? Because it hasn't been done yet. And we need it. We need it. It was necessary to do this, guys, alright? There's only so many different avenues you can take horror, and the next one was Drake.
This story was inspired by a clash at the legendary OVO Fest, which was a concert hosted by Drake every summer. For my own safety, I must remain anonymous. But even at the risk of being discovered, I need others to hear what I'm about to say. I used to have a celebrity crush on Drake. I went to one of Drake's OVO concerts alone. I know way too many people here right now that I didn't know last year. Who the f*** are y'all?
I want to go out here on a limb and just say that I support this impersonation. I think that's probably exactly what Drake sounds like without the auto-tune. Like, that's a terrible Drake impersonation. But maybe that's only because we've only ever heard his voice fixed.
I guess you could say I was planning on getting close to Drake the entire night. I'm sure everyone who was there had a great time, but none so intensely as I. The bodyguard took my hand and helped me over the barrier, then led me through a maze of wires and scaffolding until we reached Drake's personal backstage room. Drake was dead asleep, but I made so much noise getting dressed and collecting my things in the dark that I woke him up before I was able to slip out. Where you going, boo?
I'm sorry. I gotta go.
Well, I've heard that before. Could I at least add you to my hotline bling? You really got me in my feelings.
Alright, you know what? This video started off as anti-HSP, but I'm slowly swinging around with this Drake horror story video. The amount of blasé references to Drake's discography is actually winning me over here. And then finally, I just want to leave you with probably my favorite moment of the Bob Ross horror story. You don't need context. Just understand that these two guys met Bob Ross. He was weird, and then he tried to kill one of them. I just want to show you the part where he breaks into the car. because it makes me laugh really, really hard.
It looked like my panicked little ploy had bought us enough time to escape. It's about time, now let's get out! Get out of the car! You thought you could escape? Not on my brush! Ah! Out of nowhere, Bob smashes my friend's side of the window and yanks his entire body out of the vehicle. I looked all around in the darkness of that night, trying to think of what I could do to get away. But it was no use. Bob? Bobby? Where are you?
Alright, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you're going to make children's content, please don't. But I sincerely hope that this stops getting pushed on children, because it's got to be damaging neurologically. There's got to be some sort of ruinous effect that this content has on the small child brain. And yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Bye. Bye.